Hello, my fellow chatterers and book lovers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you have got a bit lost. Welcome everyone. I am Chatty. This is my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, and I will be chatting very madly to you about the rest of the books I have read in December. So this is roughly weeks 3 and 4, but it's not a precise art. On my channel, it could be chaos. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I do one continuous take because I can't edit my videos when I do a really long one. So there we go. Cheers everyone. Clink, clink, clink. It's my one shot of tea for the one shot no editing. Okay. For those of you who are interested, we're actually on take 2 because 2 minutes into the video, the camera did its usual falling off because I think I got a bit animated. And this time when it fell off, it managed to stop recording. So I was like, there's no point doing 2 minutes. Let's just redo it all again. So for the second time, I'm going to tell you roughly about my reading. I didn't read kind of the way I was hoping to for the last part of December. I was hoping that I would get round to one of my books that I picked out, my surprise books. I got my Mad Mott Hare, that's my eldest child, to choose 7 out of 20 books and hide them in bags. I pulled 2 out in my TBR, and then the rest of them I gave to myself throughout December. If you're interested in seeing, well, you can see the spines now, but if you wanted to see the reveals and my reactions to them, I do one in my what I read in December and one in the video that should go out just before this one, which is my how I'm doing with the Read What You Own challenge. So I will link how I'm doing with Read What You Own challenge here. And if you were interested in what I read for the first half of December and to see the other 2 books, I will put that video link in about here. There we go. But I didn't get to read any of them. I did read a few pages of Big Hero 6 just because I wanted to see kind of like how that story went. And I was interested to see, I just reading a little bit of it. So I've got a bookmark in there, but I haven't really started it. So yeah, I haven't read as much as I was kind of like hoping to, like with all my plans and things. But it is what it is. And what I have read, I have really enjoyed. And I have really enjoyed like taking my time with it. So my reading experience has been fantastic. So even though I'm not as far on into my reading plans as I want to be, and it feels like there's a knock-on effect because I now want to be fully immersed in January and I'm still finishing off a few December books just because I still really want to read them. I had the right reading experience for me in that I really, really enjoyed the really big epic book that I read. It felt like very seasonal. I loved following the story. I was really enthralled. But I then want my next book I started picking up, I just kept getting interrupted and the story wasn't flowing. And I was like, I really want to immerse myself in this. I don't want it to be stop-starting because I don't feel I'm giving it the best experience. So I just paused that book for a bit and picked up other books that kind of fit in with that, which I will get onto as I talk to you more about the books. So if you haven't already and you're feeling like a sit-down chat, grab yourself a brew. I've got a lovely hot tea. It's PG tips for any people who are interested. I'm not much of a connoisseur. I'm quite basic with my tea drinking, and it's just what I need. It's a really good temperature as well. I could just sit and demolish that, but I am going to chat to you. So we will leave the tea for the moment. So I had read, when I last spoke to you, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Macquarie, and really, really enjoyed it. It's kind of laid out like this. It's got lots of ink drawings and it's just got little sort of like sayings and quotes that kind of build up into sort of a little story. And there's lots of different art styles and things in here. I also said we also have the animated version of this. So Charlie, is it Macquarie? I feel like I'm saying the name wrong because it's in such swirly writing. It's really hard. And they do it on this one as well, which is not helpful. I think it's, we're going with Charlie Macquarie. If you want me to say your name properly, please put it in more legible font. But we also were presented last Christmas or the Christmas before with a beautiful copy of the animated tale. So this is, they did like a little child drama, a little bit like The Snowman, that kind of like Christmassy warm vibe. and this has got the artwork and the story as it happens in this. So we have absolutely gorgeous arts and spreads in here. Seeing if I can find another one that looks, yeah. So here we go, we've got this full beautiful page of the snow and the trees, and then these little images of the characters. So with this, it's kind of, and I said I wanted to read both of them together to kind of like count them. Also dropped this beautiful postcard out at the front, which is very cute. I want to kind of like read them together and kind of like get all the vibes and compare them. So with the animated story, it pulls it more together into more of a cohesive story. This one is a lot more kind of like dipping in and dipping out of, but it has like a kind of through line of the boy sort of learning more to value himself and kind of the friendships and things. It's very much like life affirming kind of feelings, whereas this felt more like a story with a plot. And it's got just one art style in here, but the paintings and the visual colours are so beautiful, and it definitely has the feel of the characters from Charlie's original one. I'll see if I can find like a comparison art page. Hold on. Okay, I found some. So in the original, the story starts off with hello. So we have this ink drawing of this boy here. You can see his back, you can see the back of his head, but it's very kind of like stylized as quite inky. It's not like, there are better arty ways to describe this. I am not able to do it justice, but it's more giving the idea of that person. It's not, what is that word? Lifelike. We're going with lifelike. There's a better arty word, but I'm not sure. And then we have this little black shape here that is a little mole's nose poking his head out of the ground, and it just says hello. And we have that same thing in the animated story, but you can see the art is it's more developed. You've still got that feeling of that ink and pen drawing, but it's much clearer to see this is his head. It's all coloured in. We've got a brown jumper, blue trousers, and we have got the little head of a mole out, and it is it's more than just sort of like a shape and a silhouette. We've got like his little pink nose and his paws, and we've got mound around the snow as well. So that's a much kind of more direct comparison. In further on in the story, when they've met up with a fox who they've helped and then has helped them in return, and they're all sort of joint journeying together, you've got this lovely sort of watercolours picture of the fox, the mole and the boy, and then them going through this wood. I love how this wood is. I love these kind of like tree tunnels that you get where like the hedgerow grows over from one side and the other side it feels like you're going through this tunnel, and I love how that's done in this ink drawing. And the quote on this one is, "I think everyone is just trying to get home," said the mole. And this has been expanded for the animated version, so we've had a lot more we had a little bit more kind of around the helping the fox and then the fox helping them. And we've got them approaching the wood. So we've got this really beautiful, again, I'm going with sort of more watercolours. We've got the blue sky into sort of like the lighter blue, and then the snowy grounds, and then these lovely kind of silver birch trees, and then just the little figures of the boy and the mole. And then in the distance over here is the fox, and they're just having a conversation. "Oh, the fox is back. Do you think he's coming with us?" asked the boy. "Oh, I do hope so. Maybe he's lost too." "Well, I think everyone feels a bit lost sometimes," said the mole. "I know I do." And then over the page, they're walking through the woods, and we've got the boy and the mole and the fox sort of following. So the fox's character is that he's quite quiet, and the mole really loves cake. And the boy and the mole have kind of developed their relationship more, and then the other animals kind of come into it. And this is kind of expanded on a lot more in the animated tale. And they start talking about home and what home would look like. So it kind of is expanded on in that way. And the final comparison that I want to just show you is one that I've chosen just for kind of like the difference in the art, and just really showing kind of like, I like both of them, but I'm really enjoying the colours that we're getting in the animated version, and just how they've really brought those scenes to life. I love a landscape scene. I love a scene with a bit of a sunset. So the picture I'll show you in a moment is something that I really enjoy. But I really love this as well. So it's just really simple. We've just got this love from this horse, as the way it's kind of, its nose is just literally just resting on top of the boy's head, and it's just that feel, that touch. It's just like that connection, that love. It's so beautiful the way it's done. So this is all in the ink drawing, and then the horse is just saying, life is difficult, but you are loved. And we have the same quote in the animated one, but the art is very, very different. So in the book of the animated story, just this picture is gorgeous. We have this dark sky, which is kind of like a bluey grey, and then we have the sunset at the bottom, where the sun is just going down, and we've got this gorgeous like orange and yellow, and there's a little streaks of orange across the clouds. And I love the silhouettes of the trees in the sky, where the leaves are fallen off and you can just see the light and colours peeping through. And then you've got the snow on the bottom, and then we've got our 4 characters just in the middle near the sunset. And the horse is doing that pose, but you can see the whole of the body, and you can see the whole of the body of the boy as well. And its nose, it's not directly on top of his head, but he's just behind the head. And we've got the same quote again, directly underneath the horse. I really love the placing of the text as well. It just really draws you into the middle. And again, it's, life is difficult, but you are loved. And I just think that's a beautiful sentiment that everyone should be able to hold on to and enjoy. And this is just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So I did take my time going through it and just sitting and just turning the pages. And I could have easily just read it all in one go, but I read it in a few different pieces, just kind of when I needed it. So I think I just read it in sort of 3 different sections, just when it felt like a nice stopping point for me. And then I went back to the big epic. But I finished this before the big epic because obviously it's so short. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed both of these, and I definitely want to snuggle up with my children and read these sort of with them, just having that really nice quiet time. But I also will be picking these up again to read, because they're so easy to pick up and read, and it is just beautiful. It's just the sentiment and the beauty of the art, gorgeous. So we were so lucky to be given these as gifts, and I just think they're really lovely gifts, so very much appreciate them. So let's pop this on here, because this is one I did actually read, and let's move these books out way like this. Diddly dee, diddly dee. You know what, let's have it facing out so we can all see the pretty artwork. And if you can't see it, you can imagine it. We have white snow, a blue starry sky, and a white horse with a boy sat on the back of the horse, a fox leaning against the boy on one side, and a mole snuggled up next to the boy, all of them sat on the horse. So it's very sweet. Right, putting these down here. Oh. Okay, get rid of the bookmarks. Right, good to go on the next book I'm going to talk to you about. So the fantasy epic that I read was The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I will pick up the copy of the book in a minute. I'm just going to have a gulp of tea. Still a good temperature? Hooray! So this is a book I've been wanting to read for a really long time, and I have finally read it. And it was great reading it over the Christmas period, actually. It was a really nice curl up by the fireside book, where everyone in this book is running around with their shields, dealing with a lot of stuff, eating porridge. I did also eat a lot of porridge as well, which was great. I enjoyed eating my porridge whilst they were eating their porridge. It just made me happy. But it was very much a kind of like curl up saga. And it was picking up with the characters we had followed before and the story we'd followed, and just going again. Now, thankfully, there is a sort of what's happened previously, little roundup and a list of characters. And I actually was referring back to the character list quite a lot. So we have 1, 2, oh no, that's Norse terms and conditions characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages of characters in here. So it's very epic and I love it. So in this book, I'm gonna do it without spoiling, so I don't go into too much detail for those who have not read The Shadow of the Gods. But you follow the 3 main characters and points of view from that one, and there are 2 more viewpoints put in. I wasn't sure if we'd be having more, but there's 5 points of view in this book, and 2 of them are characters that we don't particularly like. But they're really interesting. So I really enjoyed following their stories, and it was important that we got to see, because they are part of the action where neither of our 3 characters are. But there was lots of things in here that I really enjoyed in terms of storylines we got from the last one and kind of what happened from then, because a lot happened at the end, and it was really exciting to kind of see where all this went. But it was so lovely to kind of like pick things back up with all these characters once I'd got them sorted in my head. And I was just really hooked by the story, and feeling for these characters and where they're going and what's happening. And yes, it was so good. It is very graphic. I think it's more in terms of violence, more than The Faithful and the Fallen. Possibly, it kind of felt like it, but I don't know if that's just because I think we had moments where we weren't dealing with that. So I think with The Faithful and the Fallen, which is John Gwyn's first quartet world, he kind of had younger characters, and so there was some innocent sides to it, as well as like battles and all the things they were dealing with. There were kind of more quieter moments, whereas it feels a bit more relentless in this one. There is a lot of kind of violent things occurring at different points. It definitely gives you a feel for the worlds that we're in. I was definitely freaked out by a lot of things in here, and definitely characters. I do not want to live in this world. No, not for me. I would pretty much have, I'd probably be already dead if I was in this world. Not the world for me. But there were characters in here that I kind of grew to love in a different way, and I'm so much more kind of invested in than I was previously. And there's other ones where you can see sort of storylines developing, and you're finding out more about them, and you're getting more connections between all of them. And it was just, if you enjoyed The Shadow of the Gods, I think you really will enjoy The Hunger of the Gods. I know not everyone did, and I'm really curious to know what it was about this that people didn't enjoy, whereas they did enjoy the other one. So I'd love to sit and chat with people, because for me it felt like more of the same, but kind of the stakes have been heightened and things have been expanded and new pieces are on the playing field. I think that's as much as I can go without doing spoilers. So I'm now going to pause and I'm going to do a few spoilers. So if you've not read Hunger of the Gods, please, you may skip forward, use the timestamps. They are there for a reason. Skip forward to the next book. But if you are someone who likes epic fantasy, if you enjoy plot and characters, this has got both in them. Like, the characters are, I really enjoyed them. I really enjoy John Gwyn's characters, and there's a lot of plot, there's a lot of action in this. So if you enjoy all of that, then you'll have a great time. But it's not just, although there is a lot of like battle scenes, it's not just battle scenes. There is kind of like political standpoints, there's emotional stakes in here. There's like characters like worth being explored. So there's a lot going on, and I think there's definitely kind of, it's not everything like these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. There's certain things about different characters you're like, I'm not quite sure I agree with that point there. And there's certain things with other characters where you're like, I can see where you're coming from. I don't agree with you, but I can see where you're coming from. So I really like that it's not like cut and dry, like clear good and clear evil. There's more grey areas, and I would find that really fascinating. So that sounds like it's up your street, then definitely pick up John Gwyn. And if you don't want spoilers, skip ahead. Okay, going in for the spoilers. So I'm starting with Orca. I feel it's only fair. We left with her at the end of the book of Shadow of the Gods, and we left with her in the end of The Hunger of the Gods. And in The Shadow of the Gods, you suddenly find out, and I did not get this. I have read Shadow of the Gods twice. I did not get that she was Skull Splitter. I don't know why I didn't get that. I think I must have done the first time. Something like must have gone over my brain the second time. But I've forgotten that like it's Orca who's Skull Splitter. For some reason, I thought it was Thorkel, and I don't know why I thought that. Because everything that we've seen of Orca, you know, she is the leader, the practical, with her child, she's like, this is the way of the world. He needs to know, he needs to be able to deal with stuff. Whereas Thorkel was a much more kind of like nurturing and kind of like easy, kind of laid back. I don't know if it was just because I've forgotten the name of the current Bloodsworn leader. Glornir. I don't know if it was just because Thorkel was Glornir's brother and Glornir is the current leader, so I thought Thorkel had handed it on to him. I didn't realise until reading this book that everyone thought Orca and Thorkel were dead and they'd just gone off to just do their own life. So that was really fascinating, kind of seeing the dynamic there. And also just seeing this almost like, what's the word, like folktale hero that Orca has to other members of the Bloodsworn within there. I was also highly concerned about Lif and Maud. It sounded like they were both dead at the end of Shadow of the Gods, and I loved them. I loved them with Orca. I loved their strange relationship that they all had together, where she was having to be sort of like nurturing towards these two teenage boys she didn't really want tagging after her. But they had skills she didn't have. They could row, she needed their boat, and it just worked so well. And just the humour of certain things of, do we have a plan? Is it just going in and killing everyone? Because I don't know if that's going to work. And Orca's like, always worked for me before. I just enjoyed the dynamic of that relationship. I really enjoyed it. So I didn't want, not only those characters, I wanted them to still be alive, but I didn't want that relationship to not be there anymore because I love reading about it. So the fact that Lif was still alive made me so happy. I thought they dealt with Maud's passing in a really good way. The grief was explored, but it wasn't like overly dwelt on, and it was also explored through lots of people, like everyone's lost people. And then this theme is then beautifully picked up later on by Una. Would help if I had written down things, but then I would still be writing and would not have finished. Uspa. So Uspa is the Senior Witch who was captured by the Battle Grim, who is the sister to the Bloodsworn Senior Witch Vol, who is Glornir's wife. So I really enjoyed Uspa talking about that. You know, she just wanted to choose to go and live peacefully without getting involved in all of the battles and war, and it would be nice if that could be the case. And it was really kind of interesting seeing that aspect of the lack of blood, the not wanting to have war, not wanting to have bloodshed, not wanting to keep losing people, because up until that point it had felt very much kind of part and parcel of the world, this kind of acceptance of it's a harsh world, this is what happens in this world. So this kind of like concept that it doesn't have to be that way, it really shocked Elva, who Uspa was talking to, but also you kind of got that shock as a reader because you're like, oh okay, we are going to look at slightly more compassionate stuff in this series. So it felt quite shocking as well in that respect, whereas in the real world we are much more, yes, let's all live our comfortable peaceful lives and not get involved in war, is more of the accepted norm. So it was interesting kind of like how ingrained you got into this mentality in this world that you felt shocked by that idea from Uspa. So you do start to see that theme coming through of like everyone having lost someone and like what's it all for, and this kind of like theme of it's just this constant bloodshed and revenge and things kind of going round and round. So it's I'm interested to see if that theme kind of continues throughout the don't know if it's going to be a trilogy, don't know if it's going to be quartet, we will find out, series as we go on. But anyway, back to Orca. So I love that Lif was still alive. I love that we still got to continue with Orca and Lif. It's a relationship, and we get some more characters added to their band and some more kind of connections and things in there. And I love kind of how Liv evolves. I love the kind of little found family band they've got going on with their little troupe. And I loved that we had Orca and Elva crossing paths. I love it when you start having that kind of aspect of the stories. We had a little bit of Varg and Orca crossing, but the Elva and Orca one was really, I really enjoyed that. And I did not see the twist coming in the barn. I was shocked. And then as soon as it happened, I was like, yes, well done. Very well done. And also crossing paths with characters who are part of the Raven Feeders, who have just unleashed the dragon, having that kind of starting to weave those stories together, and just leading up to there's going to be a clash somewhere, and I'm worried. That was, yeah, I'm just so excited. But the ending where Orca has finally managed to find Brekka, and then can't keep going. She gets attacked. She gets Brekka to go ahead, and then you leave her with literally like this hag creature falling on her. I don't know if she's dead. I know it was deliberately left that way as a big cliffhanger. There's a part of me that is harking back to other of John Gwyn's stories where we've had these things before, and I think as a fantasy reader you very much have that. Have they been definitely killed on the page, or is there a possibility that they're not dead? At the moment, I'm not going to get my hopes up too high. It feels very bleak for Orca, and it would be, it could be in keeping either way with John Gwyn. It's not the first time he's killed off a point of view character. It would definitely have motivation and an absolute effect on all of the other characters in the story that really could be interesting. On a personal, just I enjoy Orca, I enjoy her storyline, I want to see her with Brekka, I want to see kind of how all these other things play out. I would like her to still be alive, but equally I can see the fun in the story if she is not alive. So either way, I'd be okay with it. I kind of just want to know, but currently leaning towards not dead for two reasons. One, we've not completely seen her die, and two, she's such a big character. She brings so much to the story in terms of like her strength, her legend, the change in her character to a certain extent, of how she has this like absolute mother beast instinct to go and protect her child, but she started to feel quite maternal towards Liv as well, and like proud of him. And I really want to be able to explore, because she's always wanted to kind of like, you know, care for and bring up Brekka, and they were almost close to that bit of having pride in him, and just like seeing how she's kind of been like, there was a bit of a softening going on. So I'd like to have seen, I think that would be interesting to play out, but also she is such a strong character. I really feel like it would be fun to have a showdown between her and some of the other characters in this book. I feel there's a lot of unfinished business. Also, just the dynamic of her with other characters is just so fun. It just feels like a waste if she died at this point. But it would be massive character motivation, so it could go either way. I think that's the biggest thing I wanted to talk about, was like Orca's storyline. But I really did enjoy the two new points of view we got. I really enjoyed, I cannot remember their names. One began with B, I think, and he was the rat one. Let's look at the character profile. Raven Feeders, Bjorn. So yeah, Bjorn was such an interesting character. So we see him having just betrayed the Battle Grim, and shown his true colours, that he's actually been a plant from the Raven Feeders. And on one side you can see he freed the thralls and did not agree that the tainted should be thralled. But on the other hand, you felt that betrayal of him killing Arga, and his betrayal of Elva from that process as well. But it's not as clear cut as that. You can see he's conflicted, and it's just so fascinating. And there is a part where you can see him agreeing with some things of the Raven Feeders, but not agreeing with all of the things. And he did want, he doesn't quite feel right about the children and how the children are being used, but he's not completely going out of his way to say, no, this is wrong. So I don't like him or trust him, but I can see where he's coming from in terms of thralling. And yeah, you can see he's got relationships with some of these characters in here. Like he's got like a sort of a foster father figure, and brother in here, and you can see his relationship with them and how that affects him. But you can also he also was he had a genuine affection for Bjarn, Uspa's son. So he's very conflicted, and it's really, really interesting to kind of read about that. The Grace character, that I kind of am enjoying him having a tough time, but also because you're from his point of view, and because other people are worse, you root for him at certain points. It's, again, that's really fascinating. What is he called? Goodleaf? Goodleaf. Is he Goodleaf? Gudvar. Yeah. Okay, so Gudvar, who killed the father of Lif and Maud, who is trying to track down Orca for vengeance, because him and his aunt were shown as weak in front of her, by her. His story is also very fascinating. So he's fallen in with Queen Helka and her plans and her powers, and this, called a Galderman, it's not the Sinner Witch, it's like a slightly different version of a magical wielder, Skald. Skald is freaky. He is terrifying. Yet even he was kind of made to feel terrified by other people. So that's a really interesting dynamic. But like the concept of this creature being put inside as kind of like this awareness of you could betray someone and you've got something inside that is controlled by someone else. That was so freaky. Like the idea of a creature being inside your body was so gross. That was... So yeah, very kind of conflicted on, well, not really conflicted. It's just like loads of people that you just kind of don't like and you're just like, just all die. I don't care. But it's really interesting to see like what the plot of other people are and kind of like the political points that are all coming into play here. On top of that, we've got the gods that have been resurrected. So not only did we have the dragon god resurrected, Elva, with the help of other people, resurrects the wolf god. We find out that Rotta the rat god is still alive. So we've got 3 gods. We almost had a 4th. That was interesting. I'm very curious to see how that is going to play out. The Queen Helka is not looking in a good position right now. So yeah, it's just all going to be very interesting. I'm really excited about the 3rd book. I really just kind of want it. And I can't like feel like that too much because I'm just very smug. I'm not going to have as long to wait as everyone else. Like people read this. This came out, was it April 2021, 22? When did this come out? Too many pages, 2022. So people have been waiting, nearly, it's coming up to 2 years that people have been waiting for the 3rd one. So I'm fine. I can cope. But I very much sympathise with everyone who's been waiting for such a long time for the next book. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love that we have gone over the seas. I'm really keen to see what are the plans going on, because I was fascinated by this prince person who'd come over. What was his name? Talk amongst yourself whilst I find out. Prince Jaromir of Iskadan. So Prince Jaromir of Iskadan, and we knew there was someone from Iskadan in the Blood Swarm. And it turns out that he's his bastard brother. So always fun. So I'm very keen to see and explore what's going on there. It was nice to see Varg continuing to grow and having learnt to sort of be with the Bloodsworn and like to control his tainted powers and be alongside with the Bloodsworn for their kind of objective and ride and things. Oh, other freaky stuff going on. What on the water, where they kind of had these weird like sea zombies coming at them, and that kind of infection. The John Gwyn's abilities to be terrifying, to write terrifying things happening to you, is so good. It's so good. There's so much freaky stuff in here. I'm like, yeah, all of that is terrifying. This kind of like things that have been taken over, taking over you, like helping you lose the ability to like function and to just turn into this like type of zombie thing. It was really freaky. But yeah, his world building is great. One last thing I need to mention before I stop talking about this is I also loved Vesely. Vesely, the weird, it's a tenure that's kind of, I don't know exactly how you imagine her, but she's definitely got wings. I'm kind of like going with like bat gremlin kind of creature, but I think she's adorable. I absolutely loved that Vesely and Spurt stayed with Orca and they didn't go follow the call of their dragon mother, who created all the tenures, when she called them back to her. Like, they are part of Orca's family and they want to save Brekka as well, and that just made me so happy. And I love that Vesely is now really excited about teeth, and she gets to she's given a load of teeth, like, here you go Vesely, have some teeth. She's now my favourite freaky tooth fairy. Just really enjoyed her. Oh yeah, and Elva coming into her own and just taking all these steps. Her growth and character arc has been really interesting. It was very satisfying to read about. I'm very interested to see where she goes from here. And Uspa I really love. I love the Cena Witch trying to find her child and going all in. And it's all of it. There's just so much going on and it's so good. I love it. So yes, highly delightful. So move you in here. So with all of that epicness going on, and me just not being allowed to kind of get into another story because of all the stuff happening, I was able to earn a book from under my bed. And I was just like, I know exactly what I want, what I'm in the mood for, what I need right now, and that is the Heartstopper Yearbook. So Heartstopper is a series of graphic novels, contemporary YA, about two boys that fall in love. One already knew he was gay, the other is just being aware of his sexuality and working out who he is. And they start to have this lovely little found family, this little friendship group, and it's lots of queer joy in here. And when I saw the Heartstopper Yearbook, I was just like, oh, I really want it. I really want it. I'm excited for it. And I got it in the sale last year, and I've read it, and it was exactly what I needed. So it's so joyful. It is just, if you love Heartstopper, you will really enjoy this. If you love Heartstopper and really want to know more about the characters and the artwork, and you love looking at the pictures and the cuteness, you will love this. If you're kind of hit and miss with Heartstopper and you like to see the story but you're not really too fussed, this is not for you. This is a book for fans. But we have Alice Oseman talking about her journey with Heartstopper and the drawings. So we've even got an Alice profile in here. I love the layout and the spread that she does with this. So you get all of this type of thing in the graphic novels, this kind of like character breakdown. But I love here she's done this little like what would be playing on your iPod kind of thing, or what's on your Spotify. And then this little what would be in their bags, and the different type of bag and the different things that would be in there, as well as the character thing. And I love that this is like note paper behind. I just think all of that is so cute and just kind of adds to the character. So you get one for Nick and it goes through all the characters in here. But you get like some of her drawings and things that she's done over the years and all the different things she enjoys. So I love these prize drawings. I particularly love this one of the girls here, and just all the different ways that they are like showing who they are and just enjoying pride and all the different things it means to them. And it feels so true to their characters. I love how Alice has got them all depicted we've got Tara in an amazing rainbow, what is the word? Bodysuit? Is it a bodysuit? Jumpsuit, thank you. That didn't sound right. In a wonderful jumpsuit. We have got oh, my name, I've gone blank. I know her name. What's her name? What have I done? It's going to come to me in a minute. It's not going to come to me. I'm looking her up. Why have I forgotten your name? Elle. Stupid girl. I didn't find it. I remembered her name. We've got Elle, and I love her t-shirt. Fight the system. That makes me very happy. And Darcy, who I think is adorable, with a very typical Darcy t-shirt. Sounds gay, I'm in. And just all the cuteness, all the beautiful drawings, and I just sat and just enjoyed looking at the drawings, and it just felt so joyful and warm and gorgeous just looking through it. But I really enjoyed the listening to Alice's story about how it all came and how it all came into being, how her art style has changed over the years. So you had all these like early sketchbook things, why she made the decision to kind of like redo them, and just different bits and pieces like that. And I really enjoyed how she showed us this, where she's got the comparison. As you may have got from this video, I love a comparison. I love to kind of put two different things side by side and see the differences and similarities and kind of how it's changed. So I love that we've got the original beginning of Heartstopper with Ben and Charlie, and then you've got the one that she improved. And you can really see her art style. It seems, you can still see that it's Nick and Charlie, and it's just like, it's as though someone else has done fan art of them. But I love the art style that Alice Oseman has, where the chins are less chiseled, they're more round, and it just feels cuter and cozier. And you can just see she's a lot more like clear and comfortable with her art as she's kind of gone on. And we are so fortunate. But you also get cute little things like you've got Charlie as a baby and Tori as like a little kid, and Charlie is cuddling his kitty cat there, and then later on you see a picture of his room and it's just under his pillow, so he still has this like little stuffed kitty. And with Nick you have him with his dog Nellie, and like him getting Nellie when he was little. I'm gonna see if I can find that one as well, because that was adorable. Oh, I don't know if it was early. Yes, here it is. There we go. So we've got this little drawing here, and I love we've got little sellotape, little drawings with sellotape, like it's been stuck into a scrapbook. It's really cute. So you've got Nick, baby Nick with baby Nellie, and just the beginning of this beautiful friendship, and he's just so cute. He's just crying because he's got a puppy. It's so sweet. And Taylor with all his beanies. So just all of these adorable things about these characters. You just get more of them. You just get more of them. You get cute little mini story of the teachers and their relationship, and you get like different pictures of the Heartstopper gang throughout the seasons. So you get all of these wonderful drawings from Alice Oseman, and this is one of my favorite, the alternate universes one. It's so funny, and I was just looking at these pictures like, yes, I want that fan fiction story. I want that fan fiction story. This is amazing. So it was such an adorable book, and just being able to just sit and just take the time to look at it and just feel all of the happy cozy fuzzies from this. And I did get a little tearful looking at it, because I just love these worlds and these characters and Alice Oseman's work. Happy days basically with this. And again, it's another book that you can just pick up and flip through and just get a bit of joy from, which makes me so happy. So let's put this on the shelf. And then the final book that I'm going to talk to you about, because this is the last book I read in December. Didn't quite finish it in December. It did carry over to January, but I read most of it in December, which is why I'm counting it, is Suzuki Natsukawa's The Cat Who Saved Books. And this has been translated from the Japanese by Louise Hiel Kawaii. Suzuki Natsukawa. Natsuki Sukawa. And translated by Louise Hiel Kawaii. I hope I'm pronouncing those properly. I'm probably not, but I'm doing my best to try and get the pronunciation of the name. So this is a very small book, and it was so beautiful, and it's one of those books that I just feel, if you're someone that loves books and you enjoy kind of like a whimsical fantasy, if you enjoy kind of like sweetness, you are going to love this book. So if that sounds like you, I highly recommend this adorable book. And I'm not a book tabber, but I have tabbed because there were just things in here that I just wanted to remember. And I think especially as someone who does BookTube, where we're constantly having all of these lovely chats about book collecting, book buying, book reading, and all these different things. And this, if you want to have loads of books on your shelves to display, that's all fine by you. If you want to go to loads of charity shops and get your collection of really worn paperbacks and that's what gives you joy, you go for it. Just all these different ways of people loving books. This is really interesting to kind of explore some of those things. And also, like, yeah, it is just really interesting. I can't really say more than that. So it looks at definitely like the love of books, and it's done kind of like in a sort of like thematic fantasy way, but it's done in a way that just feels sort of adorable and warm and passionate, and just the love of books shining through. It doesn't feel preachy or this is my amazing metaphor. It just feels like it knows it's being a metaphor, it knows what it's doing, and it's just gorgeous and fun. But there's also a lot of healing in here as well. We have a main character who is an introvert, and there is a more specific Japanese word for that, which is hikikomori. So it's essentially an introvert, but someone that's almost like shut themselves off from the world, like introvert hermity vibes, but not quite that. So more than that. And then the translator's note, she has written an explanation in here that our protagonist, Rintaro, is a hikikomori, a Japanese term that isn't easy to translate into English, literally meaning to pull inwards and confine, referring to people, often young men, who have consciously decided to shut themselves away from society. And so Rintaro kind of is shut away in this bookshop that used to be his grandfather's, and it is literally days after his grandfather has died and he's attended the funeral. So it's him dealing with his grief, him dealing with his sort of like self-identity, and it's explored through books as well. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, I think you'll really enjoy this. Also, it is called The Cat Who Saved Books because we have a character who is a cat in here, Ginger Tabby Cat, who talks. So we have a cat that talks, we have a love of books, and we have healing. And all of those things give me great joy. So this was a perfect exploration for me. It was just so warm and I took my time with it. So there was a moment in here, might be a short coming out or I might never get around to it, where I had to just put the book down and I had to read this passage aloud just because I enjoyed it so much and the vibes that it was giving me. And it just really resonated with kind of like the book loving type of thing. And the way, yeah, so it's the way it's also structured and done as well is it's very much like a fairy tale, folk tale, where you've kind of got your rule of three. So it's like, here's your first adventure. This happens. You must go through this challenge and this task and come out. Then you have the second one. Then you have the third. And each time it's going to feel a little bit harder. Each time you're going to grow as a person. It had very much that kind of storytelling way to it. And I think that's what really made me kind of love it more, the way that it was so kind of beautifully structured into this really comforting storytelling vibe. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. The tab, am I going to look at the tabs? So yeah, this is kind of like the thing that I'm talking about, where it makes you, you really appreciate this as a booktuber, I think, or someone that enjoys booktube. So our protagonist Rintaro, one of the things that his grandfather said to him is, books have tremendous power, but take care, it's the book that holds the power, not you. And by that he's saying, you need to do something with what you've gained from the book. Like, not all the time, but just like, don't just hide away and absorb things without going out and living your life. And I just think that's, as someone who is very happy to just sit away and read books, I think it is important to remember there's a world outside and we need to go and be part of it, because otherwise we're not doing anything with the knowledge that we have or what we've done. And that's why I think booktube just feels so wonderful for everyone, is because as well as reading the books, we get to share how we felt about these books, how books have made us feel, how they've moved us. What is it about the books that have just really called to us, and why? And we get to do that through booktube, by talking, by telling everyone our thoughts, and then speaking in the comments, going on Discord and chatting about books. And because amongst all of that talking, we also develop this desire to try to do more for like raising voices and uplifting voices that are often smothered. So for example, like, it's not just this book was great, we loved it. We have that as well, and that's brilliant. But there's also things like thinking about banned books. Why has this moved someone to the point of like wanting this book to be challenged? Why was that so upsetting to people like MJ, who then and Ashley from the Bookish Realm, that they talk about it in videos and want to explain to you like, why are these books being challenged, and telling you about things, because all of this reflects in our society. So we are saying, we do not want books to be suppressed. We don't want these stories to be suppressed, because these are stories that are so important, because when you're suppressing them, you're trying to suppress a certain part of society, and we're saying, no, you shouldn't be suppressing that part of society. So it's like doing something with them. And that's why I just think booktube is amazing. So for everyone to be like partaking in it, by whether that's watching, whether it's commenting, it's also like you're taking it in and you're thinking about it and then applying it to your life. So that's what makes it also exciting. So another quote that kind of talks about that, I'm just going to read to you just because I think it's lovely, and it's the grandfather again. He doesn't have a name, he's just called the grandfather. It is not true that the more you read, the more you see of the world. No matter how much knowledge you cram into your head, unless you think with your own mind, walk with your own feet, the knowledge you acquire will never be anything more than empty and borrowed. This book was gorgeous. I think this is one that I'm going to fall in love with the more I talk about it and the more I think about it. It's going to be one that just stays with me. And it's definitely going to be one that I want to read again. And I think I will get even more from it on the second time. So this was definitely one that, even though it's really small, I didn't want to rush it. And I think that's why I feel so happy with my reading, despite me not having got books read that I really wanted to have got read. They will be read, but my experience with these books, being able to just be with them and sit and think about them and tab and go back to them and read that passage again and put it down and be pondering it as I've been doing other things, was just been lovely. So I feel very proud of myself for just enjoying being in the moment with the book and not thinking about, I need to read all these books. I need to kind of like be getting through them because then I'm getting further behind with where I want to be. Like, that's not how I want to be feeling when I'm reading my books. It's not a task. It's not a tick list. It's a moment of pleasure, and there's more words and they're not coming. But just like the passion for the books was what I felt reading this, and what I felt reading these other books as well. Just the joy that it gives you, and the delight in what it means to be human, in that you want to relate to other people, you want to uplift people and just have this joy for life. Gorgeousness. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. So yeah, those are 4 books I read in December, and once again I have got carried away going, oh well, there's only 4 books, so I'm not just going to crack on and talk about them. I can spend my time, and which means I'm nearly at an hour of footage here for filming. But you know what, this is what I do on my channel. I just talk a lot. It's in the name. I don't do short videos. Anyway, I feel like I've really appreciated this therapy with you all. Thank you so much for listening to me share all my thoughts and be able to offload all of my feelings and my joy in these books to you. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. What has given you joy over this period? Are you still searching for that book to get that delight and joy in? Have you come across any of these? What do you feel about them? I would love to know, because you know I love a chat. Happy reading, everyone.